Senator Barbara Boxer is on the line with us. Boxer.senate.gov is the website, the U.S. Senator so ably representing the state of California. Senator Boxer, welcome back to the program. It's been a while.
Thanks for having me so much.
It's great to have you on. I understand we've talked a lot on this program about the right to vote and how the right to vote, the Supreme Court in Bush v. Gore said you don't have a right to vote, at least not for electors for the President of the United States. And you're going to address that head on, I understand.
Well, absolutely. And frankly, the first thing I want to say is that everyone who can vote has got to get out and vote in these midterms, whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent. That's number one. Number two, I would say to the states that are trying to depress or suppress voter turnout, we are watching, and the bill that I have written is, I think, a strong one. It says if you pass a voter ID law in your state, you have to make sure it's free to the people who try to get that ID, and you give them that ID when they show up. Because we have cases in Texas of people coming with all the right documentation and being told, not once but twice, we're out of the forms. I mean, this is just so unreal, Tom. I just can't believe this is actually happening in America. 21st century poll tax. Yeah. So that's the first thing we say. You got to get it to the people, and it's got to be free. But here's the important point. If you can't get there for some reason, then you can still vote. Simply sign an affidavit as you vote that you are who you say you are. And under penalty of law, you get to vote. Because this is impossible. The stories we are hearing. One gentleman in Texas, 93, I don't know if you heard about this one, he has an expired driver's license because he's a veteran and he's 93, so he didn't get it recently. So he shows up with that and a bunch of other proof that he's who he is. He's voted his whole life, and they turn him away. They said, we're really sorry. Our new law doesn't allow you to vote.
Right. If only he had a concealed carry permit, right?
Oh, agreed. Yeah. You can't have a student ID in Texas, right, but you can have a conceal and carry permit. So, Look, let's be clear. All you have to do is listen to Chris Christie, who I now call Dr. Christie, but he said it very clearly. He said, who do you want in control of the voting apparatus, a Democrat or a Republican? Now, who ever said that in an election? I've lived a long time. People say, do you want someone who'll raise the minimum wage? Do you want someone who'll favor tax cuts over, spending? And those are issues. But Chris Christie stands up representing Republican governors, 7 of whom signed the most restrictive, essentially poll tax voter ID law. And he stands up there and says to the people, who do you want in charge of the voting apparatus? Right. Basically, a Democrat or a Republican. This thing is unbelievable, and I'm grateful that the press is finally in the media talking about it. But it's really the issue of our time. In addition to all the other economic justice issues, this is basic to our democracy.
Yeah. Yeah, arguably the beating heart of democracy is the vote. And it was Thomas Paine said, if you take the vote away from a man, you reduce him to despotism. Here we are. Here we are. And, the Supreme Court opened up the door when they threw out a part of the Voting Rights Act, which said in certain states that had a pattern of discrimination, should they change their voter laws, they had to get permission. They had to show how it wouldn't be discriminatory. They threw that out. They said, oh, these are new days. Nobody discriminates. Right.
Well, we've got it clear. They're discriminating. The Republicans are against young people, students, against poor people, against Hispanics, against African Americans, against Democrats.
And let's not forget veterans. You can't vote with a veterans ID in Texas because our military is very multiracial. In my opinion.
Oh, that's an interesting point, too.
Indeed. Senator Barbara Boxer, U.S. Senator from California, boxer.senate.gov. Thanks so much for being with us, Senator.
Thank you.
And thank you for introducing this legislation. This is important stuff.